Colin Firth lived a double life for 30 years and no one knew until now. Hi, welcome to our channel Celebrity Reports.
There's something unsettling about realizing that someone you think you understand was living an entirely different story just beneath the surface. Not louder, not obvious, just hidden in plain sight. Because for decades, Colin Firth wasn't just the composed, soft-spoken man the world admired. He wasn't just the face of quiet dignity, romantic restraint, and emotional depth on screen. There was another layer, one that didn't fit neatly into the roles we gave him. And almost no one saw it coming. He was born on September 10, 1960, in Greyshot, Hampshire, England. A place that feels like it belongs in one of his own films, quiet, green, almost too calm. His parents were academics, thoughtful, disciplined, the kind of people who value ideas over noise. That environment shapes a person. It teaches you to observe more than you speak, to think before you act, and maybe to hide parts of yourself that don't quite fit the script. As a child, he moved between countries, Nigeria, the United States, then back to England. Always adjusting, always watching. That kind of upbringing does something subtle. You learn how to adapt, how to become what the moment needs you to be. But you also learn how to keep parts of yourself separate. Fast forward to the world we recognize. The polished actor. The man who could say everything with just a look. The man audiences trusted, loved, rooted for. But here's the thing about trust. It's often built on what we think we know. For nearly 30 years, Colin Firth carried two identities. Not in the dramatic, headline-grabbing way people expect. No disguises. No secret agent lifestyle. Nothing cinematic. It was quieter than that. On one side, there was the public figure. Controlled, measured, almost reserved to a fault. Interviews where he seemed thoughtful but slightly distant. A man who chose his words carefully, as if revealing too much might disrupt something fragile. On the other side, there was a different kind of intensity. A private world filled with contradictions, strong opinions, emotional risks, decisions that didn't always align with the calm persona we saw. And that gap, the space between those two versions, grew wider over time. Because maintaining two identities isn't about lying. It's about survival. It's about protecting something you're not ready to explain. Or maybe something you're not even fully sure you understand yourself. People often assume actors are pretending only on screen. But sometimes, the performance doesn't stop when the camera's cut. For Firth, the duality showed up in his choices. The roles he took versus the causes he quietly supported. The relationships he kept private versus the image he projected publicly. The way he spoke about vulnerability, while guarding his own. And if you look closely, you can almost see it in his performances. That tension, that restraint, that feeling that something deeper is always just out of reach. It's not acting. Not entirely. It's experience. There's a moment in many of his films where his character finally breaks, where the controlled exterior cracks just enough to reveal what's underneath. And audiences love those moments. They feel real. Maybe because they are. Living a double life doesn't mean living a fake one. It means living two truths at the same time. And eventually those truths start to collide. For Colin Firth, that collision didn't come with a dramatic explosion. It came slowly, quietly, through moments that forced him to confront the divide he had maintained for so long. Personal relationships played a role. They always do. Because you can't fully share your life with someone while keeping half of yourself hidden. Not forever. And when those cracks start to show, the question becomes unavoidable. Which version of you is real? Or maybe the better question is, why did you feel the need to split yourself in the first place? There's something deeply human about that struggle. We all do it in smaller ways. We present one version of ourselves to the world, another to the people closest to us. And sometimes there's a third version we barely acknowledge. Firth just did it on a scale that lasted decades. What makes his story compelling isn't scandal. It's recognition. Because when the truth began to surface, when people started to see the complexity behind the calm, it didn't feel like betrayal. It felt like clarity. Like finally understanding why there was always something just slightly mysterious about him. Something that didn't fully resolve. And maybe that's the point. We expect people, especially public figures, to be consistent, to be easy to define. But real people aren't like that. They evolve. They contradict themselves. They carry different versions of who they are depending on where they are in life. Colin Firth wasn't hiding because he wanted to deceive anyone. He was navigating the space between who he was and who the world expected him to be. And that's a space many people know all too well. In the end, the idea of a double life might not be as dramatic as it sounds. It's not always about secrets. Sometimes it's about layers. Layers we build to protect ourselves. Layers we outgrow. Layers we eventually have to confront. And when we do, it's uncomfortable. But it's also freeing. Because the moment you stop dividing yourself into pieces, you finally get to exist as one whole person. So maybe the real story here isn't that Colin Firth lived a double life. Maybe it's that, like many of us, he spent years figuring out how to bring those two lives together. And the truth is, that's a journey most people are still.
So that's for today's video. If you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe and share. See you next time.